Welcome back to Dunwoody Dialogues. This is a show produced by Discover Dunwoody. Discover Dunwoody is your source of information on hotels, restaurant, shopping, and events in Dunwoody. I'm Mark Galvin, your host, and I am so glad that you have joined us. Here on Dunwoody Dialogues, we talk with important people from in and around Dunwoody. If this is your first visit to this channel, go down and check out some of our old interviews, our past interviews, I should say. We have had some absolutely terrific guests. As usual, we have another wonderful guest with us today. All of you, say hello to Jay Eibler. Jay, good to see you.
Good to see you, Mark. Thanks for having me.
I am so glad you're here. And before the show started, I had to make sure we had his name right because your name's spelled E-I-B-L-E-R. So the E silent, so it's Eibler.
Eibler. All my life I grew up being called Jay Eibler.
Sure.
But Eibler is the German pronunciation, so I'm half German. So
all right.
Eibler is the correct pronunciation.
Well, I bet you answer to Jay Eibler, right?
Plenty of times.
You probably know when there's a solicitation call coming in, they say, can we speak to Mr. Eibler?
And I say, you really don't know Jay because you're saying Eibler. Right, yeah.
That's right.
But now I train on those calls. So
that's right.
So,
how do you get people
to
take those calls? Well, that's great. So let me tell you what Jay does. He is the president of Sandler by All In Selling. And I think you have a Sandler training program, and your company name is All In Selling. Is that right?
Yeah. Sandler is the DBA. Sandler is a franchise business.
Okay.
But I am an independent solopreneur, so my LLC is All In Selling.
Got it. Oh, that's perfect.
Yep.
So that's a great transition. You're a guy that helps people understand how to improve their own performance. Maybe take things to a new level if you're trying to, business development maybe not working as well. You can step in and help them. Is that right?
Exactly, yeah. So typically, business owners, sales leaders, generally a good client for us, for Sandler, is a business leader who's just generally frustrated, to your point, with business development. And
okay.
That can come in a lot of different flavors. Maybe it's, Jay, my people aren't prospecting, or we're meeting a lot of people, but we're not converting it into business. And we work very close with business leaders and the sales team to install a process that, if followed with discipline, creates more meaningful conversations, which leads to more business.
Interesting. That's great.
It's that simple.
So you've been in sales for 25 plus years. Tell me about some of that sales experience you have.
Absolutely. So my journey. So I got out of college and always had a passion for the automotive industry.
Oh, okay.
So right out of college, I joined Volkswagen and Audi of America.
Wow.
So the manufacturer. This was in Michigan, which is where I'm from originally. And after 3 or 4 years, they put me on one of these management fast tracks and ended up in a sales role. I said, boy, this is fun. I like it. It's kind of like a sport, right? I always equate it to a sport. So for the 25 plus years of a 33-year career, I was in sales and sales leadership.
So, couple of things. Before we started recording, this is funny, there was a car in the parking lot, and you could hear it, rum, 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 rum. Yeah. So you knew it was a V8 also.
It had to be.
Yeah.
It had to be. Right?
Just a classic sound.
Yeah.
And when you were working for VW and Audi,
yeah,
in sales, what does that mean? Because I'm going to tell you, when I think of car sales, I think of car sales. Yeah. Is that the kind of work you were doing?
Yeah, so the work I was doing, I was leading a team that was basically selling, I'll call it commercial financing, to the dealerships.
Okay.
So in my role, the dealers were our customers, so I was managing the Southeast. So our team would sell financial services products, commercial financing, mortgages to dealers, inventory financing, all of that, all of the financial needs that a dealer needs. That was my role primarily in selling.
Good.
Yeah.
Perfect.
And loved it.
That is, it sounds really cool. What's really interesting to me about the work that you're doing, especially on that side, is it was probably not traditional sales. Like my dad sold Fuller brushes.
Yeah.
Literally knocked on doors, try to get the folks inside to buy Fuller brushes. Yeah. That's a little different sell technique than the work you were doing.
Absolutely.
How did you find that dealers would want to buy? What was it that you were trying to solve for those dealers?
Yeah. So a couple things. One is, and to your point, what I was doing was very different than knocking on doors and door to door. But the key elements for us was relationships, right? So sales, we always say in sales, you need to become a trusted advisor, right? First and foremost, whether you're knocking on a door, you need to become a trusted advisor. So myself and my team put a lot of emphasis on doing things to build trust. And if that means just helping a dealer out, not selling anything, but just helping a dealer out, whatever that means, just establishing that, what we call in the industry, bonding and rapport, that relationship. And then it's showing an ROI, solving a problem. Sales is all about, is there a problem that exists that we can solve? And if not, then we shouldn't take it any further. And if we can. And so we spend a lot of time authentically trying to solve challenges for dealers and showing an ROI. And at the end of the day, dealers are not unlike any other independent business person. If they like you and trust you and they've got a problem you can solve that shows there's an ROI, it's usually a win.
That's the answer. Oh, that's good. All right, so we jumped ahead a little bit. I do want to ask you one of my favorite questions, and folks that watch the show know that I love this question. You've already answered some of this. The question is, what do you do and why do you do it? We've kind of talked about what you do already, but why do you do this?
So it was great. Can I share my journey?
Please.
To Sandler. So because the dots, I say this often because it resonates. So 25 plus years in sales and sales leadership, a career in corporate America. And if you asked me over those 25 plus years, what were you passionate about? Really, a couple things come to mind. One is the profession of selling, because it is a profession. It's not just something that you show up and do.
It's a good perspective.
Combined with the element of developing people. And I had the privilege over 30 years of developing people and seeing the growth in people and really leaning into their development. So when I left corporate America, I said, what are you passionate about? And there's a couple of things. One is I love the profession of selling. It's a sport, it's a challenge, it's hard, and that's cool. And I love developing people. So when you combine those two things, training is a great fit. It's a great fit.
Why do you like developing people? What is it about that?
At my stage in my career, it's a little bit of giving back, right? It's the ability to sort of say, I've been there, done that. I've had these challenges. So let me give back some of that wisdom to the person who was like me 30 years ago.
Looking for somebody to answer those questions 30 years ago. And did you have anybody answer those questions?
Well, so yes and no. I was privileged to have some great mentors.
Good.
That served, quite frankly, as a role model. And, one of my takeaways from those great mentors is the piece about developing people is interesting. I remember being at a meeting when I was just a sales rep, and the senior leader was giving a talk, and he said, hey, the most important thing you guys can do, I was a manager at the time, is develop people. He said, the metrics, the KPIs, they're all important. We need to sell stuff. But at the end of the day, your responsibility is to develop people. And, 20 plus years, that still resonates with me, and I love it.
Yeah, without the people doing effective work,
it's huge.
We don't succeed.
It's huge.
We can't do it all ourselves. That's such a big thing. All right, so I have to ask you this. You have a franchise with Sandler, and we could probably talk about Sandler, but I want to talk about you more.
Okay, sure.
Why did you develop the name All In Selling? What does that mean?
So it's a great story. As I was contemplating what will I call this company, right? What's the LLC name? I came up with a short list of probably 5 names that resonated with me, and I sent a little note around to my family, two kids and my wife.
Market research.
Market research. I said, what do you think? What do you think? What do you think, guys? And this was the first one we identified was taken in the state of Georgia. So the second one was All In Selling. I said, Dad, All In Selling. And it resonates with me because, as my family will tell you, I'm a big believer that you need to be all in whatever you do. And so, it just resonates, right? You don't do anything, you don't go halfway on anything. And sales especially, you can't just show up, you have to be all in. So I use that in my training. I talk about it. I talk about why the name is All In Selling, because you have to be all in to be successful.
Oh boy, this is off script. This is not one of the questions, so we're going to see if we can stump him. Today, so this will be something I get to fix. Hey, write that down. Mark dropped the paper at the 10th moment, 10th second. All right. All right, so this one's not on script. Today we are inundated, and I do think the media promotes this, with young people that we hear are not, they're not as committed. They have a tendency to believe that things should be given to them.
Yep.
And I'm going to tell you, from my perspective here at Discover Dunwoody, we have young people that work with us. I haven't seen that.
Yep.
Have you seen that this is there some validity to that, or do you find that the people are willing to be all in?
Yeah, no, I hear that often. I usually say I don't believe in that. It exists.
Okay.
And I say that to say, look, I think what's changed is when I was right out of college and working, you put in a lot of hours, you showed up before the boss, and you left after the boss because that's what you did.
Right.
I don't know that I was productive. It was optics.
Sure.
So what has changed, and I embrace it, is that. I mean, the junior associate doesn't necessarily have to show up before the boss and stay after the boss. They have to work hard. They have to be productive. I think, Mark, there's a little bit more work-life balance that's embraced, and I look at that and say, you know what, that's not a bad thing.
Right.
But when folks are working, they're working hard, and my experience as a trainer, when they're committed to training, they are all in. They're committed.
That's good. I
They're
like
committed.
that.
Yep.
I started in the hotel business, and there was a phrase that we used to say was, I'm committed to my job, and if you have a personal life, that's okay.
Yeah.
It's like,
Yeah.
you can have that. That's all right.
On the side.
Yeah.
No,
But that's not a full-time thing.
Yeah. And that's changed a little bit.
Right.
And
Oh, I
maybe,
think
maybe
so.
for all the right reasons.
And I do believe for all the right reasons, 100%. So, I don't know if you guys can tell. This guy looks like an athlete, right? You're when you came in the office, you're definitely physically fit. You look like you definitely work at staying healthy. Are you an athlete? Did I peg you right?
So I'm an endurance sport junkie. Yeah.
Wait.
Yeah.
What does that mean? What is endurance?
Yeah, so
sports?
so that means post college. Track and field during high school. College, I did what everybody does in college and enjoyed myself. Post college, I got the bug for running. So my journey from then to now is I went in, did all those marathons and did a lot of marathons and did a lot of running. And
a lot of marathons. How many marathons?
Probably
have you
15
run?
or so.
Holy moly!
Marathons.
How many miles is a marathon?
26.2.
26.2s. Yeah. How far do you live from your office?
So maybe 15 miles.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could actually
run.
just run back and forth to work.
I could.
Okay.
I could.
It's a lot of. That's just so much. I'm sorry. It always amazes me that people run marathons for fun. So I'm impressed.
So it went.
Maybe it's a little crazy.
So it is crazy. It gets crazier.
Oh, no.
So it went from sort of the bug for marathons to someone challenging me to do a triathlon. So I said, all right, let's do that. And then that led to doing Ironman triathlons. So
Okay, hold on.
really getting
All right.
hooked on that.
So we know the marathon already.
Yep.
Then you've got the Ironman. Is it a marathon plus?
Yeah,
Right.
yep.
How many of each? Right.
Yep,
It's
yep.
swimming. How far?
Yeah, so 2.1 mile swim, 112 mile bike, and then a marathon.
And how long does that take you from start to finish?
Yeah, so me as just sort of a weekender, 12 hours.
12 hours. Wow.
Yeah.
And what's the order?
So you swim, and then you bike, and then you run.
Is that the right order? Should they switch that up, you think?
So I think swimming is the right way to start because
Okay.
you don't want to drown if you come off the
Oh,
bike
that-
or marathon.
That's
So
a
you
good
don't want to be
point.
tired.
Sure.
And I can tell you the way I always describe it is the swim is a swim. If you know how to swim, it's difficult, but it's not. You can survive. The
Yeah.
bike, you sort of get through. Running a marathon after those first two events
That's brutal.
is when it becomes a mental game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then you said you did the Ironman. How was that different from a regular?
Yeah, so
triathlon?
so regular triathlon, they're just various distance, but it could be anything from a half-mile swim to a 12-mile bike to a 5K, 3 miles.
Okay, all right,
And
got
then
it.
when you really get crazy, you do Ironman events, and it's a full day.
It's the whole thing. That's the 12 hours.
Yeah,
Okay.
correct.
Very, very impressed, by the way. I think that I think that's amazing. Um, I have a son who was a runner, and he did cross-country running.
Okay, yeah.
And by the way, the best thing about cross-country running is that it's very fast. So it's not like a soccer
You're
tournament.
not there all day. Yeah.
You're not there all weekend. Like baseball, it is. You go in, and he would run in around 15 minutes, and you're done.
That's fast,
right?
yeah.
Yeah. So it was good.
Yeah.
I love that. But it also is the sport that does teach you that without sacrifice, you don't get a reward.
Yep.
You got to train,
Yep.
and if you're not training, you don't succeed. Is that what you got out of sports and athletics that you can apply into sales?
Huge. And I use a lot of sport analogies just because
Okay.
I believe they're so effective. Things like, obviously, when you do a marathon or an Ironman or any athletic event, when it works, you have a training plan. And you
Okay.
have discipline on that training plan. And what we teach and train on in Sandler is just that, right? It's a process, it's a plan. We call it reinforcement training, where you just don't go to a 2-day seminar and go sell things. It doesn't work, right? People don't change in 2 days. You can't go to the gym for 2 days and say, hey, I'm fit.
All right.
So the parallel between a training plan and working out and setting goals and achieving your personal best in a marathon is so similar to having what we call a cookbook
Okay.
for your prospecting, your meetings, all of the things that lead to successful sales, successful business. So absolutely,
So
it parallels. Yeah,
Yeah, I
which
think
is one of
it's
the
really
reasons
good.
I love it.
Yeah.
The challenge in sales is very similar to the challenge in sports, which is what I love about it. I mean, it's just, as you say, keeps you young.
Yeah, I think that's really cool. And I wish I should cite the person who said this, and I can't remember who said this recently, but it really stuck with me. And that was that and sometimes some parents today don't want their kids to lose. The whole everybody gets a trophy concept. But we do need to teach people how to lose, and sports will do that, right? Sports will teach you how to win and how to lose, and that's part of the process, because when you lose, you can't stop.
Right.
You got to keep going and working to that win, that next win, because there will be a win. All right, so I have a sales objection for you.
All right.
So if you're selling me, I would say, okay, it sounds to me like you're just trying to get me hooked into some long-term sales plan. Why would I want to commit to sitting down and do a long-term thing when, I think I can just get this in 5 minutes. And you've given me some of those. You've answered some of that, but I bet you get that. Like, can I just let me just do a couple of days. I don't need something that's long-term.
Yeah. Show me some tricks. Show me some moves.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
So how I would overcome that objective is I'd ask you another question. What do you want to get out of sales? Right?
Okay. Oh, so I like this. Can we keep doing this?
Yeah.
So I'm not meeting my goals.
Yep. Okay.
Right. I don't think I have a good market. Okay. I think my company gave me a bad market, and they did it on purpose because they're trying to get rid of me. But I got to succeed.
Okay.
So I've got to figure that out, and I just am not meeting my numbers.
Yep. So what's the impact to you because you're not meeting your numbers?
Oh, I might lose my job.
Okay. So it's an important priority for you?
Oh, yeah,
Okay.
of course.
All right. So are you motivated to address it?
I think I am.
All right. And if there was a way to achieve your objectives and achieve your financial objectives and the goals that you mentioned, would you be interested in talking about it?
Of course I would.
Okay.
Right.
Sounds like, Mark, we should block some time to talk about it.
Oh, that's good. I like that. So, and I totally just put him on the spot, guys. So that was not rehearsed. That was impressive.
Yeah.
And that's also part of that sales process. You got to dig out. You wanted to make sure I was committed.
We look, yeah. So we
Right.
look, there are a couple of things that are key to Sandler, and that is there pain or an unmet need, right? Is there pain that the prospect, the buyer, is motivated to address? Because if there's not, then let's not waste each other's time.
Right.
And then we'll walk through, the investment. I ask again, time. So the investment in this case, in many cases, is time. It's obviously money, but it's also an investment of time. Going back to my sport analogy, if you want to finish a marathon successfully, you got to block some time to do that, right?
Yeah.
And then just finally, are you ready to make a decision?
You got to do that training.
Yep.
Well, that's
Gotta
good.
do the training.
I love that.
Yep.
Thanks for playing that with
Yep.
me. That was
Yep.
fun. All right. I have one of my favorite questions for sales leaders is, are salespeople born or are they formed? And I think you've kind of answered some of that already, but I always wonder, right?
So I would say, and you know what I'm going to say? I'm going to say they're formed, but a caveat, and so the caveat is this. So one of the things that we do for our clients, in addition to just training, is we help them with assessments, right? So there's a couple of assessments, not to go down a rabbit hole on assessments, but we have an assessment we call Talogy, which sort of the synopsis of Talogy is it's an assessment an employee candidate would take to see how well they fit in with a particular role.
Okay.
So the assessment can give you some prediction based on the role on the likelihood this person would succeed. Okay. And I say that to say, yes, they're not born, but some people enjoy have a natural tendency to enjoy things that relate to selling. Some people would rather do things that are not sales related. So,
okay.
So the caveat is it's definitely born. It's definitely an acquired skill. It's something you can develop with training, but you have to like some of the key elements. So
it's kind of a little bit of both.
It is a little bit,
way, right?
Yeah, there's some innate tendencies, behaviors, and traits that align better with selling than others.
I think that, and I love that because I think that's honest, right? I think there are some people that surprise me. They get into sales and they kill it, and they don't appear to have, they don't check the boxes I think that they should check just in first blush, because it seems like some of the best salespeople I know could just talk your head off, and they're always willing to run and pick up the phone, and they're the first person to answer the phone when the phone rings, and so on and so forth, right? And then you meet somebody who's not quite like that, but they succeed in sales. They just blow away their numbers. And I think and I am going to quote a guy here in the office. Our VP of sales is Mike Jackson, goes by MJ.
Sure.
And he says basic blocking and tackling. You got to do basic blocking and tackling, which is part of do the work. Be disciplined. If you say you're going to call somebody today, call them. If you're, and make sure you respond to emails and those sort of things. But it's some of the basics are super important in there.
Yeah, no, to build on that and to your point, and I've sometimes had the same observation. You see someone at a party and you think they're just natural sales guy or gal.
Sure. Yeah.
Having said that, I've seen very successful salespeople that if they were sitting here talking, they'd say, "Hey Jay, I'm an introvert. I really don't like networking. I really don't like going to parties. I like being by myself." But when they put on their jersey to go sell and they follow the process and they're very good at it.
Right.
And I think that relates to it's not a born skill, it's an acquired skill, right?
Absolutely. So fascinating.
Yep.
All right, this has been, I'll tell you what, Jay, this has been, I think, very interesting, and I want to tell you what, I'm not in sales. I want to know more, right?
All right.
Sign me up.
Love it.
So let's share with everybody, how can folks find out more about you, and how do they make sure they connect with you?
Sure. I'll start with email. So the email is jay.eibler, EIBLER, @sandler.com. My website is www.allinselling.sandler.com.
Easy enough. And folks, if you didn't get that, look in the show notes right below us. We'll put all that there.
Perfect.
Well, listen, Jay, I love this, and I could sit and talk about sales all the time. I definitely did my portion of sales. I was in hotel sales.
Okay, awesome.
I had a problem in that I worked at a very busy hotel, and I had a lot of leads, and so I had to respond to leads, which is one of the reasons why I got bored of that job. It really wasn't selling.
Sure.
It was just responding to leads. But there are so many skills that I've learned since then, frankly, that would have helped me be more successful. And some of it is talking to folks like you that understand this space so well. So definitely check Jay out.
Perfect.
Thanks
you,
for
Mark.
being here, my friend.
Thank you.
For the rest of you, thanks for watching. Once again, I'm Mark Galvin. I'm your host. This show is produced by Discover Dunwoody. Our producer is Madison Holtz. She's also our director. I got to make sure I continue add that to my notes. Our sound technician is Emily Inser Gibson. We're going to change her last name to Inser Allen. She's right there. She always loves it when I say that. Want to remind all of you to go to the library or City Hall or to Sproul or we have done a great job. Even you go to NFA Burger and get the Dunwoody stickers. We'd love for you to get one. These are great stickers, and they're free. How about that? Some cities charge you for them. We don't. Just go to some of these places and pick them up, or just come here to the office. We'd be happy to give you a Dunwoody sticker. On behalf of the entire Discover Dunwoody team, thank you for watching. Be sure to follow us on all of our social media at Discover Dunwoody, or check out our website, discoverdunwoody.com. Jay, thanks again for joining us. Love that you were here. Enjoyed the conversation.
Thanks for having me, Mark.
And to all of you, thank you for watching. Now go out, enjoy the day, and come discover Dunwoody.